Well, we're approaching the end of the January transfer window with our Southend United side flying in the Championship. Today we begin with a top of the table clash as first meets second in a big promotion decider. But remarkably, with deadline day on the horizon, there is no sign of any of our star players being wanted again. Yes, hello, and welcome along to part 45 of Saving Southend with me, Daniel. We are back today to face Hull City, who are directly behind us in a championship. But after a remarkable run of games where even last time out we proved we just will not be beaten, we have got a great chance now of wrapping up promotion. However, it's not all quite that easy because Hull are doing well in second. West Ham appointed a new manager in November and have lost just one game in 3 months. So we are starting to get a bit of pressure from some of the sides we expected. If you're looking forward to seeing how that progresses today and whether or not we do lose any star players on deadline day, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. The good news is Jayden Danza signed a new deal and is the one who won't be wanted this month as a result. And we've also had brilliant results on the pitch and added a little bit more magic to the squad for different reasons. So let's start with the transfer news because when you were last with me, we picked up a big injury at right back to Josh Brookin. I couldn't get Alex Williams left. I forgot to put the recall clause in, partly because they were paying such a good fee. But also, we've now lost McKinstry for a number of weeks, and I've had a few issues with fitness and fatigue in midfield. So as a result, we've brought in two players, one of whom has got a knock already. And you may notice here a potential familiar name coming in from our Luton Twitch save for those of you who follow over there. Dave Watson is available on the loan list from West Ham, and subject to another deal getting done, he may well come in as a replacement for the rest of the year. Will Ferry looks to be going back to the club he was on loan at the first half of the season, Peterborough coming in for him. And we've also got a key scout leaving for Burnley for decent money, where we've actually made a lot of our income in this save. And Elkan Baggott has not agreed a new deal. He's decided he wants to go, and at the end of his contract, he'll join Motherwell for a very similar wage, where hopefully he'll get more football and be happier. However, if we go to the transfer history, there are two players in this month, one player out. The first one we'll deal with is the out because it was a player who was a good squad addition for us, but just isn't championship level. He'd been out on loan in the first half of the year at Wrexham, and now with just over 6 months on his contract, to get 250 grand for Alistair Smith from Derry City, no idea why they didn't just offer him a contract like they tried to with Baggott. He has gone and it's great money. And to be fair, at 29, he did his job for us. He featured 43 times. He was a good squad player, but he's not good enough now. And 250 grand for someone nearly out of contract, another clever little deal for the club. In terms of ins, we've bought in two additions. The first is a right back, which was a necessity. Ezra Carrington was a free transfer, very much a backup player, similar quality to Williams, who we would have bought back from loan. But he is young, he's got a good personality, he's got good potential for the future. Sort of made sense as a deal, to be honest. He's the right type to bring in. He's got physical attributes, he's good enough in the tackle and crossing. And while he has got a bit of room for development, if it doesn't work out, we've lost next to nothing. The second one, though, is the director of football's doing, because one of the first things Vasco Oliveira did when he replaced John Still a few years ago was get us Diogo Fernandez on loan, a young exotic player from Europe. Well, he's done the same now because Mirko Tanani is a young right winger from Lazio. And my word, is he good. He's made one sub appearance and got an assist already. It was a pretty crucial one as well, as we'll see in a minute. He has now got a knock and will miss this game, but I think you can see, while we'll probably never see him again after this season, he's some young player, I'll give him that. It's a very good bit of work from our director of football. Maybe if we do go up, a Premier League winger? I'm not so sure, we'll wait and see. But really important contribution. And even if he doesn't play another game for us, he's delivered a crucial moment, which will probably never be forgotten because it's kept a good unbeaten run going. Let's move back to the schedule though, because the run of games we've been on is remarkable. And I've talked about this side just having the will not to be beaten. And what's happened since the last episode has proven that. At times we've lost our defensive quality, at times we've been behind in games, but they just won't lose. We were here for two big victories against Swansea and Bristol City in mid-December. We were on an unbeaten run before that, We're in an unbeaten run since that. We won 2-1 away at Rotherham. We were 2 up in 4 minutes thanks to Sonny Perkins and an own goal by a Luton man, Ted Mengi. After that, we won 4-1 in the third round of the FA Cup. I'd argue this was the most remarkable result because we rested everyone. Backup keeper, backup defence. Roddy McGregor played in midfield, but then Aaron Presley popped up with 2. McKinstry and March got 1 apiece. It was a brilliant display. We won 2-0 at Huddersfield thanks to Danza McKinstry after Andre Santos had missed a pen and Hugo had got injured. We just keep having different heroes. We keep producing results. And the second half seems to be when we're at our best. Against West Brom, a 3-0 win. We were actually 2 up at half time in this one. Parker and Dan's got a goal each before Presley added a third. You can see Carrington got an appearance off the bench there. In the following game at QPR, a 4-3 victory. We scored 2 goals in the same minute, which was remarkable. Solly March scored a screamer to make it, I think, 3-2 at the time. Yeah, we were 2 up with Morehouse and Dans. We got pegged back. Solly March scored a screamer. Sonny Perkins scored from the kickoff. We still nearly threw it away, but a 4-3 win, a great result. We then beat the same opposition in the FA Cup. And look what happened. We were 1-0 down after 80 minutes. We won 2-1. And this time, again, it was the 82nd minute that was popular. Presley and Dan's off the bench with that one. And then against Crystal Palace, enter Marco Tanani because we were about to lose our 10-game winning run and our 15-game unbeaten run. But then what happened? Marco Tanani off the bench for Aaron Presley off the bench. A delightful cross in the 92nd minute. And Presley made no mistake. The unbeaten run continues. The Southend form flies at the top of the table. And today we face Hull City before heading into deadline day. But the disappointing thing, and I know I should be thrilled about this, but we're talking about realism here. Bar Jayden Dans, I haven't offered any senior players a new contract since the season started. None of them have signed new deals since then. We've got to the end of January in a squad that's top of the championship that's flying. 4 players that have scored 8 or more goals in a championship. And nobody's wanted. I don't really understand it. In previous years, and I've mentioned it before, go back to the Hemel save in FM22. We've been fighting off tons of interest for players, and this is a club with a bigger reputation, but with players on a low wage worth a good amount of money. Now, I don't understand genuinely why no one is trying to buy our players. From a recruitment point of view, in real life, there would be teams coming after them, as we've seen with Luton Town in real life, my club, when we were in a championship. I'm not quite understanding the logic behind that. However, I am thrilled that we've got this team together. I'm thrilled with the way they're performing. And I've got a sneaky suspicion that if we get through today unscathed, there could be a promotion on the cards. Because the only real threats are Hull and now West Ham, who appointed Nigel Pearson at the start of November. And since then, they lost at Hull, who are in second. Otherwise, they have been remarkable. Drew against both of the M1 teams, my club, Luton and Watford. But just keep winning, don't concede goals, and look absolutely brilliant. So they're a team to watch out for. They've got a good run of games as well. We face them in a few weeks' time. But for now, it's all about Hull City as we go away to the team directly below us. A bit of pressure if we don't win this one. But they're playing 4-4-2, which we generally like coming up against. And our team is looking in pretty good nick. So today, the only decisions are who comes into the squad. Goodrum's not quite fit. Tanani, not really there either. So I think it's going to be Carrington on this occasion. Not going to take any silly risks with people. We've got enough in the squad. Hugo's not quite fit, so we'll come out for the inform Aaron Presley up front. In midfield, we're going to stick with what we've got because Solly March is playing well on the right. Ishmael's playing well at left back and stays in for Stephen Parks. And that means our 11 in full is Daniel Rose in goal. Craven and Ishmael the fullbacks with Parker and Kwanzaa as centre half. March and Ammo out wide with Andre Santos alongside Morehouse in the middle. Lovely little partnership they've got now. And then Presley and Dan's, the big front two, will be hoping to score some goals today. Dan's with his new deal until 2032. He's absolutely flying at the minute. So let's see how we get on. Away at Hull, a team that have beaten us this season, and one of the big promotion contenders we've got to compete with. Well, here we go then, and Hull City have come into this with a few changes. Luton defender Mads Anderson, now at Hull in this universe, drops to the bench. The likes of Timon, Geld, good players. Paddy McNair, who was key in the first game, as Stupinan, all substitutes here. You've got Aaron Connolly, who's flying in this save. You've got Ace Vado and Greaves, who have been a good partnership at the back. They just look a pretty solid team, to be fair. So let's get our lads motivating. They're doing well. They don't need any more G'ing up. They've been in brilliant form. They've been delivering when it matters. But this is becoming a bit of an issue. Injuries galore early in matches, and just ones that we have to take people off as a precaution, because if we keep playing people like Dan's through them, they end up becoming 3 or 4 weeks instead of a few days. So Sonny Perkins is on for the top scorer already, albeit those two have been in a little competition most of the season. But we are now officially on our backup strike force, the third and fourth choice at the club. So we're now in a position where if we can get a point, I'd be thrilled. You look at the stats for the game, it's been even, there's not been much in it. But we've got a corner late on in the half, and we know we're a threat from them. As Parker heads just over, him and Kwanzaa always look like producing. This time, though, not quite on the target. And at half-time, it's going to be 0-0. I appreciate not the most exciting to watch, but I would be delighted. And I think you'll find that if we can pick up a point here, we're in a really good position for promotion. Albeit, there's a bit of fatigue in the squad. We've got to be careful. And Hull are on the front foot, but they give it away from the throw to Sam Ammo. He, in turn, has got caught Dalian on the ball, but he wins it back. And now he goes over halfway, left to Perkins. The substitute gets down the wide area. There's 3 in the middle. Sam Ammo's there again. Cuts back for Morehouse. It's so unselfish. Brilliant football. And Jack Morehouse, the man that John Still found at the end of season 1. That's why he's the best spotter of young talent in the country. What a performance from him. 7 goals in the championship now, becoming every part the superstar we expected. And he's helped us here with a big goal. O'Connolly puts a sow in straight away. I thought it was offside and the flag does go up. Dan Rose wasn't to know and made a brilliant save. But what a performance. And Jack Morehouse, he's becoming a very good player. I really hope if we do go up, a few of these can compete. As Andre Santos, one of those starting to struggle physically now, as is Craven at right back. And I wonder if I have to think about Ezra Carrington. We're going to start with Russell Denny for Santos. We're going to take Presley off for Hugill. And we're also going to take off Solly March for Anselm, who will switch sides with Sam Ammo, who can cover on the right. I'm going to save the final sub because if we do have to do it, I'd like to leave it a bit later for Craven, to be honest. We haven't really got much at right back at the minute, and it may cost us the game, but I'm going to bring Ezra Carrington on. You'll get your first look at him. And to be fair, we could do with Mirko being fit on the right wing next game because we're struggling out there as well. As it stands, though, it's been a professional away performance. We're on course for a stunning 1-0 win. Not the best to watch, but defensively resolute. And almost a perfect day, isn't it? Let's get Morehouse into a deeper duty here. Centre midfielder on support. And we're also going to get the time wasting on. We're going to slow the pace down. You all know the drill. We're very much deserving of that. If we can win this game, we're favourites for the title. And no one can convince me otherwise because look what's happened at West Ham. I've just talked up how brilliant they've been for 3 months. And they've let in a late equaliser at home to struggling Salford. This day feels like a seismic one in a promotion race. We beat Hull 1-0. West Ham pegged back late by Salford. We are now 11 points clear of third. I'm starting to feel like it's going to happen. The little gambles on additions we've made have been brilliant. The early sub means Dan's is not going to miss any games. And Sam Ammo, you deserve big credit because you produced a big moment when it mattered. We'll get through the press conference. We'll get to deadline day. Surely someone's going to want one of our stars. We'll wait and see if we get a late surprise offer, as we did with Jaden Dans. Between now and then, I don't expect much on the ins. It's just whether McGregor gets a loan out and Dave Watson replaces him. Either way, it's an upgrade to the squad. Well, it's transfer deadline day today with a quiet one expected. And I should say off the bat, while we're focusing on January here, our scouts are doing great work. We've been scouting across the UK, different leagues lower down. People who have been out on loan. People who are out of contract at the top level as well. And I've got a pretty good list of people we can bring in on a budget in the summer. So whether we go up or not, I'm pretty confident we're going to make our squad more competitive. Whether it'll be Premier League level if we get there, I don't know. But we're defying the odds at every level so far. We've got Hull being linked with Tyler Goodrum, so one of our stars finally getting some interest. He is a player that's a little bit unhappy at the minute, despite the fact he's getting all the game time he wanted. And a bit more, to be fair. But if we get a good offer for him in that sort of £3 million region, then maybe he'd be one we'd be tempted to have a look at. We're being linked as a replacement with Rabbi Matondo, who again featured in our Twitch save recently, but with the addition of the new Italian winger, I don't think we're going to need him now. So transfer deadline day today, we are being linked with James Beadle. Pretty sure he's going to Sheffield Wednesday in real life, but not good enough for what we want. And I've got to keep it on my shortlist ready for the summer if needed. We've got Will Ferry probably going out on loan. We've got Roddy McGregor discussing terms with Wrexham, where he's basically their Alistair Smith replacement. And then if that goes through, we'll try and get Dave Watson in so long as he agrees. Otherwise, it's just whether a big offer comes in for Goodrum or anyone else. But as you can see, still nobody wanted. So if we get a late offer at this point, it would be a bit of a surprise one. No other news, hopefully. Let's wait and see what happens. Well, it's a bit of an ironic start to deadline day. We've lost a scout for good money, but 150 grand compensation isn't bad, albeit I'd prefer to have kept him. But when it comes to the deal of us hopefully getting Watson and then loaning McGregor to Wrexham, it seems like we've been pipped to the post because Wrexham have just gone direct and got Dave Watson in League One. Now that's a pretty incredible effort. He's a very good player. The only thing I was excited about is he was going to add the long throw to us as well, but we know from our Twitch save how good he is. He's got Premier League potential. Maybe it's something we can readdress if we do get promoted and West Ham don't, because he's only got one more year on his deal after that. And if we were a Premier League club, that wage wouldn't be too extortionate. So we'll keep him on the shortlist, but no Dave Watson today. And that should mean that there's not going to be any signings unless our director of football goes for another loan gem. Roddy McGregor could still leave, could end up playing alongside Dave Watson for the rest of the season. So let's get through the final 10 hours and see if there's any more news going out of the club, because still no more players wanted. Well, not even an hour later, and both of the planned outs are now being done. We've got Roddy McGregor going off to Wrexham, 80 to 90% of the wages paid, and alongside Dave Watson, who might be a future teammate if I get my way. He'll go there and have a bit of fun. Will Ferry is now going out on loan. He'll go to Peterborough. It was his only option. He played for us and them this season. He couldn't go anywhere else and feature. So we'll accept 30% of the wages just so a club legend can get some football. There is an offer for a player called Shorrock, but I do have a problem now. Because with Roddy McGregor going out, we've got Reece Russell-Denny, Santos and Morehouse as the only three centre mids. Now, what I can do is try and make do, because I've got Solly March who can play in there pretty comfortably. And I'm fairly happy with his performances. And with the extra right winger coming in, that might be comfortable. I don't know if that's ideal for the rest of the season, if things do get a bit tricky. We have got added bonuses as well. I mentioned that we had Nicky Morgan in the reserve team, who had been really training well, the young player. We've also found another one now in Jack Swift as a young right back. So we have got a few that are starting to progress, but nothing really in that midfield area. Unless we use Morgan as an emergency midfielder. Maybe that's the way to get in football, I don't know. So I think I'm going to stick at it, unless this is a midfielder who's pretty good. Well, Shorrock is a young centre-half from Leeds. On loan, it's an offer made by Vasco Oliveira. How good is he? Can't really tell from that, to be honest, but played a couple of Premier League games. He's being scouted. We'll see if the deal gets agreed and what the terms are, but my instant instinct would be to say, no, we probably don't need him. I will have a quick look at whether there's any targets in midfield that are worthwhile. So if we have a look at loans and free transfers, there's a few loans again coming from abroad. Vasco Oliveira, definitely expanding his search. This guy's played 13 games for Atalanta, so might be worth a little blind signing, I don't know. Maybe we can offer him as an impact sub and see if they accept the deal. We'll do it with the recall, but not the position. I really don't want that commitment. Should we try a different role, see if that works? We'll just accept it. They won't be able to recall him anyway. Slimani is a 17-year-old from Monaco who seems a bit further behind. There's a young guy from Lyon who again has played 8 senior games. He's a French youth international. His wage is a lot bigger though, so probably not worth the gamble. Free transfers, any good options about? We've got an experienced Josh Brownhill at 33. Could be another clever addition like March, but not quite the same personality here. Jorginho Bacuna is another one. He's only 31, but not quite so good. So while Brownhill would be a tempting addition, and what are the wage demands? Oh, God no, 15 grand, wants to be the highest paid player. We'll let that one go for today. So maybe another young Italian coming in. Vasco Oliveira. He's finding a few surprising gems. Well, bad news across the board because the Shorrock deal was negotiated, and when I saw what they wanted as a monthly fee, I'm not doing it. I might as well buy someone. Mattia Dema has rejected a loan deal here. I might try and offer him first team football and see if that makes a difference, because I do feel we need one in there. We've got an offer for Jordan Griffiths. Covering the box-to-box midfielder role. This could be the perfect solution. Jordan Griffiths is a versatile player at Celtic, can also cover right wing back where we've got a bit of a deficit. He's okay. I wouldn't say he's a standout player. I'm not sure he's quite at our level either, but might be able to do enough of a job if we need it. Is he good enough that we get him in though, instead of Nicky Morgan? I'm not sure. We'll have a look at the terms again, but at the moment, I'm not convinced we bring anyone in. Well, for the second time today, Mattia Dema has rejected the loan deal. We've got no news on Griffiths yet from Celtic, but the wage demands were pretty big, so I'm not sure we're going to do it. But let's have a look at this. Stoke City have come in for Joe Hugill. Now, Stoke are in League One. They're mid-table, and he's not actually interested. So, a bit like what we had with Jayden Danns last January, I'm not sure it would get done anyway. This one's a bit more difficult, though, because it's for half the amount for a player that's probably better. And I'm not sure that that's an offer I would accept anyway. The club finances are all right. The profit's not great, and it's not negotiable, which was the issue last time. So, I'm not sure we're going to accept it, but it is nice we've had a surprise offer for one of our players, wanted by Stoke. But again, it's League One clubs coming in or poor Championship clubs. And that's meaning the deals have got no chance anyway. So let's have a look at the squad because no one else is wanted now, not even Tyler Goodrum. I'm looking at this deal and thinking, is it worth it? 6 million up front, an appearance fee and a sell-on. Do you know what? I might accept it. Just see if he goes because realistically, this is silly money for Southend. I don't think I can turn it down, but I equally don't think he'll accept the offer. We saw with Jayden Danns last January, you don't want to get your hopes up. Let's see if he goes to Stoke, but for now, Joe Hugill has had a bid for 6 million accepted. Well then, there is a negative to accepting these offers. Joe Hugill, as we expected, has rejected Stoke. He now wants to know why we accepted a bid, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to turn it around. Let's discuss the issue with him. I'm sorry if you felt you were being forced out. I kind of want to say the money was just ridiculous, but I don't want to lie to him and I would love him to stay here. Let's just say back down. Yep, he's happy with that. So we've got away with one there, and that's why you have to be careful with these offers. Joe Hugill, he's had his say and he remains a Southend player. 2 hours to go. Well, 45 minutes remaining and we've got our decision to make. I kind of don't see the harm in this. It's a monthly fee of 470 quid. And a wage percentage contribution of less than £1,000 for someone who will be a very emergency backup. And let's be honest, there's no pressure to pay him. They've said he'll be a squad player, which at best he will be. I'm going to accept that. He's versatile enough to be on the bench. It just freshens up the squad a little as well. And that extra bit of depth to replace Roddy McGregor, I think it's a pretty good deal for the club. So it's not been a completely quiet deadline day. We got Tanani in earlier in the month who we're delighted with. And now we've got one addition to meet. A loan from Celtic is Jordan Griffiths, who we'll meet in a second. Well, here we go. And talk about potential for the lad. This could be someone who improves pretty quickly. A Newcastle youngster who's gone to Celtic on a free transfer and not really featured that much. He's made 2 appearances for the senior squad. Has had a good loan at Bronley in the National League though, so he has got experience to him. And he has done well whenever he's featured. So I would expect him to be a solid backup. And if we do need to chuck him on the bench for a few games, so be it. He'll be like McGregor. He's on the bench if someone gets injured. Jayden Danns will welcome him. We'll give him a squad number that nobody cares about. Number 35, that'll do. Let's have a look at his attributes in a bit more detail. I mean, he's good on the ball. He's got a great engine. The stamina's fantastic. The physical attributes are generally good. He's determined with a good personality. He's got a good work rate. He's a good team player. He doesn't really have the overall technical ability, either defensive or offensively. And mentally, he's a little bit short to make it at the top level for me. But he's a very solid squad addition. We're happy to have him here. And if we do need an emergency off the bench, he's near enough as good as McGregor was. And arguably better suited to the role where we'll need him as a backup. So based on that, I think we're happy with the day. It does make us a little left foot overloaded in midfield, but I'm not going to complain too much. A nice end to deadline day. With Tanani coming in as well, it's been a very good window indeed. Well, there we go. Transfer deadline day passes pretty quietly. Both Roddy McGregor and Will Ferry leave on loan to Wrexham and Peterborough, respectively. Jordan Griffiths comes into the club on loan from Celtic to replace McGregor, and he joins Tanani and Ezra Carrington, who are both in due to other injuries in the squad. For now, though, it's been a very quiet day for us. We've still got by far the lowest wage bill in the division, and if we could go all the way and win it, with what, a tenth of the budget of Fulham's wages, that would be an outstanding effort. Either way, though, we're delivering gold dust with this team. We've got a wonderful mentality in the squad. We've got some fabulous players. You can see the likes of Hull right behind us have gone big to add to the squad. West Ham have let a lot of players go. I wonder if that's to bring money in. But yeah, Hull are going for it. Charlie Savage, Andre Vidijal, 7-figure sums there on deadline day. 3 other paid transfers in the month equating to another £2 million. And going out of the club, 1-star player in Kamari Doyle, and other than that, just a few youngsters and backups. For West Ham, they've lost a few big names, I would suspect, with 10 players going out. Yes, they have Ronnie Edwards to Sunderland, Cast to Fulham on deadline day, but they've still kept hold of the likes of Paqueta and Kudus. I mean, it's just ridiculous. They're at championship level with those. In the window, they've spent 20 million quid on 2 players, Walter Berger from Stoke, and a Romanian number 10 from the Turkish league, who is very good. And the fact that they're not winning a league or even beating Salford last week is an absolute disgrace in the circumstances. For us, though, things are looking great. The dynamics are very good. We know Elkan Bagot's going. We know a couple of players want bigger deals, which we're not going to offer till we know where we are next year. And Tyler Goodrum was worried about Tanani, but he'll get plenty of football anyway. So if we look at the schedule now, we've actually got a couple of big things to focus on because, of course, the Championship is going swimmingly at the minute and we've got to think about trying to get promoted to the holy grail of English football. However, we've also got to look at the FA Cup because we've got an average Championship team in West Brom at home in the 5th round after playing 2 more Championship sides already. And if we get through to that, we're in an FA Cup quarter-final, and that will be around mid-March if we get there. So I'm going to factor that in when coming back for our next episode, as well as getting through as many games as possible, because a spell in mid-March is Watford, Coventry and Ipswich, who are 7th, 8th and 6th. The sort of sides where occasionally we have struggled to get wins this year. So I think that's the spell of 3 that we're going to look to come back around. 2 of those games or one of them in an FA Cup quarter-final, depending on how we go against West Brom and who we draw in a quarter-final. If you're looking forward to finding out and seeing if we can complete the job, then please do put a thumbs up on it. Let me know what you thought of that deadline day. Interesting to see another big offer, but again, only from a club where the player will reject it. And not much being done to our squad, but as we have most Januaries generally, a couple of clever loan additions just to bolster the squad and keep things fresh is really helping that competition for places and the form of the squad in the second half of the year. Hopefully it will stop another end of season collapse this time. If you want to find out and stay up to date, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back in a couple of days' time for a very big episode here. Will the Premier League and the Promised Land beckon, or will we start falling away? We'll find out the answer in 2 days' time. Between now and then, we've got a massive episode in the Head Coach tomorrow. If you didn't see where we moved to next yesterday, then please do find that episode in the eye above. We're on the move in the Head Coach. We'll have our first game in charge of a new club tomorrow. So make sure you're up to date with all the introductions as we met our new squad yesterday. We've also got links to the Twitch channel and the football podcast up there too. A very busy week on both, so make sure you come and follow us to stay up to date on both of those. But thank you very much for watching. Your support as always is appreciated. We've got a very big finish to the season here. Our expanded stadium is ready to be rocking, so let's see if we can deliver on the pitch and give the fans the dream they thought wouldn't be possible.